the second most unlikely run to the Final Four here was Alabama. I want to touch on them for a second. And we both watched this team, and it was at Alabama, and it was essentially for the SEC regular season title. It wasn't the outright, but it was like whoever won had control of their own destiny.
Against Tennessee. At
home, winning at halftime, and just absolutely collapsed in the second half. Couldn't get a rebound to save their lives. Legitimately, we both were talking about it during the game. Like, it looked like they didn't want to give the effort necessary to win the game. Like, it wasn't worth it to them to play defense. It wasn't worth it to them to rebound. And both of us just got completely turned off Alabama. And then after that happened, we got confirmation bias because the next 5 games, they went 2-4 their last 6 games. They got smoked the first game of the SEC tournament by Florida, a Florida team who had beat them by 20 a week prior. And so we're watching this team like, okay, they probably will get out of the first round. Wouldn't be shocked if they lost round 1. If they do get past them, St. Mary's is probably going to kill them. They got a very fortunate first round game against Charleston. They were overseeded because of last year's team. And then they got fortunate that Grand Canyon upset St. Mary's. And it was
still could have lost to Grand Canyon.
Probably should have lost. They were down 3 with 5 minutes to go. But again, then the only real game that they had, like where they were an underdog, was against UNC. Every other game they were a favorite. And that game came down to coaching. And I think I want your thoughts on Alabama's run in general, but I do want to bring this up. The UNC game, Hubert Davis in that game was horrific. They were, I believe, up 8 at halftime, had put up 54 in Alabama, and it was like, okay, this is exactly what we expected, right? Like, UNC's a high-powered offense, Alabama can't play defense, and Alabama wouldn't go away, to their credit, hit a bunch of big-time threes, and to their credit in this run, they've had a different guy step up multiple games, and that's what you have to get to a Final Four, right? Like, Mark Sears carried them the first 2 rounds. He had 30 and 28, and then in the Sweet 16 against North Carolina, who stepped up? Grant Nelson, the big white post. He had the game of his life, like you said, 24 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, huge plays down the stretch. But the dumbass of the week goes to Hubert Davis. It has to. He puts in this kid, Paxson Wojcik, who had not played significant minutes in a month. Here are his previous 8 games of minutes. 3, 2, 3, 5, 2, 9, 8, and 4. The 9 and the 8 came in blowout wins. So he had played not more than 3 minutes in a game that was meaningful in over a month. He had played 12 minutes the whole tournament. He played 15 minutes in the second half of that game. 15 minutes in the second half. And I hate when coaches do this. It's like they're trying to be cute and smart, like, I'm going to make the decision that wins us the game. I'm going to make some decision. And it's because North Carolina has 2 kids who can't shoot, and he wanted to try something different. But then he puts in a kid named Jalen Withers. And with a minute and a half to go, they're up 3. They have the ball. They don't score. Fine. Alabama cuts it to 1. You have the ball under a minute to go, up by 1. The kid has made 2 threes all year and launches a 3.
He fired it with confidence.
It was like that Stony Point kid shooting the shot, right?
And then he somehow got redemption because he made the other one wide open.
Yeah, well, Withers didn't get redemption, and North Carolina fucking lost. So
yeah, no, I don't know why he shot it. Hubert Davis is pretty bad. I think that the thing with Alabama, and you don't have to talk about it too long, I think it's obviously it's a, they're making their Sears is heated up that second half when we watched them play Clemson. And like you said, it's been a little bit of Batman and Robin when, he hasn't been his best. People have picked up the slack and helped them win. But I think the big thing with them is there's just an effort on the defense side of the ball now.
Right.
They're just trying to play defense.
How weird is it that
because that's what because it just happens. I mean, it's like teams in the regular season. It's like, look, you can harp on it that this matters all day long and this and that and the other. Like, you got to play defense. They just didn't in the regular season. Yeah. And now it's win or go home, and they're playing harder on the defensive end. It's that simple. I think Nate Oates has just finally gotten to him and be like, guys, you're not going to win any games unless you play fucking defense. Yeah. And so they are now. And I think that's been the difference. I know we're going to pick these games probably here in a second.
We will.
But I think
we'll go to it in a second. But how weird is it, to me, it is at least, that teams are able to turn it on like that, because it's not just Alabama who did that. Illinois was the same way. They were outside the top 100 in defensive efficiency all year, and they started playing defense in the
it's just
tournament.
an effort thing. I
But
mean, it
is, but it's weird because normally you get a team who doesn't do it all year and they're kids. It's hard to turn a switch on, but we've seen it the last couple of years. Miami did the same thing last year. Same thing. They were great offense, terrible defense, but they started trying in the tournament.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting trend to look at when you pick brackets.
Yep.
You know?
Sure is.
But
we'll expect them to play defense in the tournament.
Yeah.
Or at least effort level to increase.
Improve a little bit.